I was halfway across the globe, sipping coffee in a cramped hotel room, when my phone buzzed with a call from my neighbor Jake. "Hey man, you need to know something," he said, his voice tight with worry. "There's a woman out here snapping pics of your Tesla. She's got a flatbed tow truck with her, and I overheard her saying your car's abandoned and slated for removal." My stomach lurched. Abandoned? My Tesla was parked exactly where it belonged, in my assigned spot in our HOA control community. I hadn't given anyone permission to touch it, let alone haul it away. "Did you catch who's behind this?" I asked, gripping the phone, my heart starting to race. Jake paused. "Didn't get a name, but it's that HOA lady who's always got a problem with everything. You know, Lisa Thornton." The name hit me like a brick. She was the neighborhood's self-proclaimed enforcer, the kind of person who'd send you a 3-page email about your mailbox being half an inch too tall. She'd had it out for me ever since I moved in, always griping about my fancy tech toys. I tried calling her right away, but of course, she didn't pick up. My mind was spinning. I'm a software engineer, and I'd been out of town for 2 weeks on a critical work trip. Before Leah VYing, I crossed every T and dotted every I, emailed the HOA about my absence, had my buddy Matt house sit, and made sure my Tesla was parked perfectly within the lines. But Lisa? She'd always hated my car. Once, she left a note on my windshield claiming electric vehicles were arrogant and ruining the neighborhood's charm. I booked the next flight home, my fingers shaking as I punched in my credit card info. While waiting at the airport, I called Matt in a panic. "You seen anything weird with my Tesla?" I asked. He sounded confused. "Checked it yesterday, and it was fine. But now that you mention it, I ran into Lisa a few days ago while watering your plants. She was asking when you'd be back, going on about unattended vehicles. I thought it was just her being nosy." I groaned. Nosy was an understatement. Over the next couple of days, as I scrambled to get home, Jake and other neighbors sent me updates that made my blood boil. Lisa was spreading rumors that my Tesla was abandoned, maybe even stolen. She told anyone who'd listen she was taking charge to fix the eyesore, claiming she had HOA authority to handle it. When Matt confronted her, she just smirked and said, "I'm cleaning up the neighborhood. Some people don't respect their property, and it drags down our property values." But it got worse. 2 days before I could get home, Jake called again, his voice practically shaking. "You're not going to believe this," he said. "Lisa was showing your Tesla to some guy today. I heard her say she was handling an estate clearance, and that the car was for sale cheap since it needed to move fast." I froze. She was trying to saw my due lot 60,000 Tesla to a stranger, spinning a complete lie. My hands were trembling as I called the police to file a report, but they said they couldn't act without catching her red-handed. Thank God I'd installed a Ring doorbell camera with a VYEW in my parking spot. I pulled up the footage remotely, and there she was, Lisa, circling my car, peering in the windows, even tugging at the door handles. She was sticking flyers on nearby cars, probably spreading more of her abandoned vehicle nonsense. I sent the footage to the police and told them I'd be back tomorrow. I managed to snag an earlier flight and landed just in time. As my rideshare pulled into the neighborhood, I saw it, a flatbed tow truck idling next to my Tesla. My heart was pounding as I leapt out, luggage still in hand, and sprinted toward the driver, who was hooking up my car. "Stop! That's my car!" I yelled, breathless. The driver looked up, confused. "I've got paperwork saying this vehicle's abandoned and needs to be towed," he said, while VYing a form with an HOA letterhead. I whipped out my wallet, showing him my driver's license, car registration, and the Tesla App Pro VYing I owned it. "I've been out of town for work," I said, my voice sharp. I notified the HOA. "This is a scam Summy owns trying to steal my car." The driver studied my documents, then frowned at his paperwork. "This is signed by Lisa Thornton, HOA president," he said, his tone shifting. I shook my head. "She's not the president. She's just a board member, and I've got VY Deo of her trespassing and messing with my car." The driver backed off fast. "I'm not touching this," he said, clearly realizing he'd almost been roped into a crime. I called the police right then, and as we waited, guess who strutted up? Lisa herself, her face twisted with outrage. "Why isn't this vehicle being towed as planned?" she snapped, barely glancing at me. When she finally noticed me, Her eyes widened for a split second before she recovered. "Oh, you're back," she said, her voice dripping with fake surprise. "Well, we were just following protocol for abandoned vehicles. You should have notified us properly." The police rolled up minutes later, and Lisa launched into her performance, acting like she was in charge. "As acting HOA representative, I was enforcing our rules on abandoned vehicles," she said, nose in the air. "This car's been sitting here for weeks, collecting dust, taking up space." The officers asked for her documentation, and she handed over the same forged form she'd given the driver, claiming she was HOA president. Just then, another car pulled up. It was Greg Wilson, the saw-real HOA president, looking utterly baffled as a neighbor filled him in. "What's this about vehicle removal?" he asked, staring at Lisa's paperwork. His face darkened. "This is completely unauthorized. Lisa's just a board member, and the HOA never approved this. I personally got an email from the owner about his trip." The cop's demeanor shifted instantly. "They asked for my ring footage, and I pulled it up on my phone. It was brutal. Lisa's snooping around my Tesla, trying the doors, and most damning showing it to a potential buyer 2 days earlier." The officers demanded to see Lisa's phone. She balked, but they insisted. Her texts were goldmine. Messages to multiple buyers, including one where she offered my Tesla for due law $45,000, calling it a barely used steal that needs to go quick. They also found emails where she'd posed as HOA president to contact the towing company and fake notices she'd posted around the neighborhood declaring my car abandoned. One officer turned to Lisa, his face hard. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for attempted grand theft auto, impersonating an HOA official, forgery, and tampering with private property." Lisa's face went from flushed with anger to ghost white. "This is absurd," she sputtered as they cuffed her. "I was protecting the community. That car was an eyesore." The other cop shut her down. "Parking a car in your own spot while you're away isn't abandonment, and it sure doesn't give you the right to sell it." As they led her to the squad car, Lisa's voice hit a piercing pitch. "This is a mistake. I'm on the HOA board. You can't do this." Neighbors were gathering now, some filming, others whispering in shock. "The woman who tried to steal my due law $60,000 car because she didn't like it and saw my parking spot was being hauled away." I felt a strange mix of relief and disbelief as the police car disappeared. 3 days later, at an emergency HOA meeting, the truth came spilling out. Lisa had been meddling in everyone's business for years, removing unapproved plants, sneaking into yards to measure fences, you name it. Most folks had just tolerated her to avoid drama, never reporting her. The board kicked her out unanimously, and I later heard she was facing felony charges that could mean up to 5 years in prison and fines over due law $50,000. At her arraignment, the confident Lisa was gone. She looked broken as the judge denied her bail, citing her calculated scheme. Our eyes met as she was let out, and for once, she had nothing to say. So what do you think? Was Lisa just a busybody who went too far, or a straight-up criminal who deserved everything she got? Should HOAs have stricter oversight to stop people like her? Or was this just one bad apple? And what would you have done if someone tried to saw your car while you were away? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if this story got your blood pumping. And subscribe for more wild tales like this one.